Welcome everyone to my how-to video on performing assignment 7009 part A. So this video is going to give you an overview of 7009 part A and with special attention to creating the plan memo. So as you can see, we're in our course Moodle, and if you scroll down, you want to click on week 5. All of the materials, all the supporting materials for assignment 7009, regardless of which part it is for, is going to be under week 5. You're likely going to be working on this assignment partially in week 4, probably definitely in week 6. But since I didn't know exactly when you would choose to work on this assignment, I decided to put all of the materials under week 5, under the very first assignment deadline for 7009. So as you can see, this is the first deadline for 7009. It is for part A. And that is what this video is going to be focusing on. So under part A, you will find all of the supporting materials I've created for all 4 parts of 7009. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is check out the assignment prompt for 7009. So if you click on this link here in the overview, this will pop up in the wiki. Okay, and so here's our email from Alex Nostrovia assigning this task to us, and here are the 4 parts of 7009. So each of these 4 parts will be a separate submission, and if you want to learn more about the overall 7009 and all 4 parts, you can check out my overview video on that. But we're going to be focusing on 7009A, okay? And this video in particular is going to focus on the plan. So in 7009A, you will submit in one Word document 3 pages: a title page, a project plan in the form of a memo on its own page, and then a schedule of deliverables which will act as an attachment to your memo. Okay, so basically what this is planning out all of the rest of 7009. So your plan memo, you'll be talking about how you're going to get to your first draft of your SWOT report, and then the schedule of deliverables will show me how you're going to accomplish each document inside of this assignment. All right, so the first thing I want to find out is more about this plan and what that consists of. So if you go back to our Moodle page and scroll down on week 5, near the bottom, you'll find this outline right here, okay? Underneath that is a worksheet. And so if you open up the outline, that will basically show you what you are creating. And then the worksheet is not required. It's just a helpful tool that I will show you its use in a minute. So if you click on the outline, click on this link, this is the Word document that will pop up. Okay, and as you can see, it's worded as a memo from Alex Nostrovia to you, telling you what Alex expects in your plan memo. Okay, so if you also scroll down a little farther, you will also see the starts of a schedule of deliverables as an attachment. Okay, you are welcome to use this Word document as the start for your own work. That's fine. Just make sure that you adjust it to the requirements. All right, so to get started, let's say I want to start creating my plan memo. The first thing I need to do is adjust this stuff. So I would be writing this plan memo to Alex. So I'm going to move Alex's name up to the to line. And then I want to change the from to, this should be your name. Okay, so whatever your name is, full name, put that there. Change the date to whatever date it is that you complete this task. And now we need to adjust the subject line, because since this communication was initiated by Alex, memo is a response to his request, then this you should be changing the word subject to RE, because you are RE replying to Alex's memo. Okay, the subject's topic stays the same, but it shows that this is a response to an earlier memo. Okay, if you were the one initiating the task, you would write subject, and then whoever was replying would write RE. Okay, all right, so now let's get into the topics. You should have an opening and a middle and a closing. And notice that there is a notation at the bottom indicating that there is an attachment called schedule of deliverables. So this is a common way of indicating on a memo that you've attached another document and that they should find that, just in case it gets lost. You should also indicate in your opening that you have an attachment. Okay, so that's why you see this down here, because it's an attachment to our memorandum. All right, so now I'm going to focus on the content. Your opening paragraph should be fairly short. In fact, it should be shorter than my instructions. So this paragraph just tells you what you should write in your opening for your plan memo. So basically what you're doing here is telling me the timeline of the steps that you are going to use to accomplish the first draft of your SWOT report for assignment 7009B, okay, which is due July 16th, Central Standard Time. That's what you're doing in the opening overall. And then later in the middle, you will break down each part of the SWOT and tell me in detail how you're going to research for each topic for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Okay, so for your opening, I would recommend that you begin with a kind of thesis, and I've got a sentence structure here for you. You're welcome to use or junk. To complete a draft by, okay, so now we know that the deadline is July 16th, 11:55 p.m. Central Standard Time, but when you write this, I want you to translate this to your time zone, okay? So maybe it's July 16th, 11:55 p.m. Central Standard Time in Champaign, Illinois, but somewhere else it might actually be July 15th at 4 a.m. So whatever this deadline translates to for your time zone, that's what you should write here, okay? So creating a draft by your time zone deadline, I'll need to do at least a couple hours of work every day. So this part is the example, and you should adjust this to whatever you think is the pace of your work. So that's what I'd like your first sentence to tell me is your impression of what the pace of your work will be during the completion of creating your first SWOT draft, okay? So you should revise this, and honestly, it will be easier to write this idea after you've drafted the rest of the memo, okay? So I would recommend first you draft the rest of the memo and then come back and revise this sentence because then you'll have a better idea of the actual pace of your project. So after you have created your body, written your closing, written your schedule of deliverables, then you have a much better idea of what your pace for this project will be. So when you're done with that, when you're done writing that sentence and making it yours, just move that to the beginning of the paragraph and it will warn me ahead of time what to expect as I'm reading the rest of your content. The rest of the opening should just be a list of, in chronological order of your steps for completing your first draft. Okay, so this should be very simple, very straightforward. I don't want a bunch of excess language or anything. Just simply say the first thing I'm going to do is research customer demographics. So I will start by doing researching customer demographics, and then I want to learn more about the business itself. So I will do an on-site observation, interview employees, create a survey, and then I'm going to move on to secondary research in which I will research X, Y, and Z. So the intro, you don't need to tell me how you're going to do this stuff, just tell me the steps. And so many of these steps will be research and then drafting. And so you might draft, you might do all the research all at once and then draft and then do some follow-up research and then revise. Or you might research for one section, draft that section, research for another section, draft that section. It doesn't matter to me. Just tell me the actual steps that you plan on following for researching and drafting your first SWOT report draft. Okay, so that should only be 1 to 3 sentences, and then you're done with the opening. You're finished. So then you're ready to move on to the middle. And so the middle should have 4 body paragraphs. A body paragraph for each of the sections of the SWOT report. So there should be a paragraph on strengths, a paragraph on weaknesses, a paragraph on opportunities, and a paragraph on threats. And what you're doing in each of these body paragraphs is telling me in more detail how you plan to research those subjects. So you're basically taking your timeline up here and breaking it down into further details in your body, just like a typical thesis and body paragraphs tend to do, okay? And then once you tell me in detail how you plan on researching your sections, then you move on to your closing paragraph. And the unique thing I'd like for you to talk about here in just 1 or 2 sentences is at least one thing that you are concerned about for the completion of your timeline and your contingency plan for how to deal with that. So, for example, I might be concerned that one round of research will not be enough to get me all the research I need. So I would say that's my concern. And then I would say, if that happens, I will plan on giving myself enough time to do a second round of research after I draft so that I know what other information is missing. That's it. That's all you need to do in the closing. Tell me what you're concerned about and tell me your contingency plan for dealing with that if that problem should arise. Okay? Say thank you if you want to, and then make sure you put an indication that there is an attachment. And that is the outline. So I'm going to give you some tips on how to come up with the information for your middle so that it is more purposeful, clear, specific, and to the point. Okay, so if we go back to our Moodle page, so this is the link here, the outline. This is the document we were just looking at. Underneath that is a worksheet. So I'm going to open that up now. And this is going to be useful for coming up with the content for our middle. So this is the worksheet. This is not a required document. It is simply a tool that I wanted to provide you to help you think out your plan in a more systematic way, okay? Because the thing about a SWOT report is it's a very objective document. You should not be coming in and deciding what your arguments are going to be before you've done your research. You should let the research tell you what your arguments are. And so the first best way to make sure that your SWOT report is objective is to make sure that your research process is objective and purposeful. And so this worksheet will allow you to do that. It'll also give you the basic information you need to write your middle. Okay, so I'm just going to take you through this worksheet. So the first thing it asks you to do is research your customer demographics, because you cannot know what a strength, weakness, opportunity, or threat is if you don't know who the current customers are. Because something is only a strength if it's something that our current customers love. Something is only a weakness if it's something our current customers hate. It's only a threat if it's something that deters something outside of us that deters our current customers. And opportunities are only opportunities if it could attract people who are not our current customers. So for each of those sections, you absolutely have to know who your current customers are before you can decide which of these are strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, or threats, or just random information. So to do this, first thing I want to do is make a list of all the topics that I could research to identify my customer demographics. So this could be age, ethnicity, sexuality. That might be relevant for some businesses. Earnings bracket. So how much they make. Are they, near the poverty line? Are they middle class? Are they super rich? That sort of thing. Are they single or have families? Basically, anything that an HR, a human resources survey might ask to identify you, you'd want to put in here as a topic. So single or families, married or not, has kids or not, that sort of thing. Are they college students? What kind of employment do they have? Part-time? Are they young professionals? Or are they blue-collar workers? That sort of thing. So you make a list of all the possible topics, and then over here in the next column to the right, you want to put your research questions down. So this would be the thing that you try to go and find information to answer. So these research questions should be very simple and very direct, so that it makes research easier. That's the point of research questions. So simply, who are the main groups up our customers? Okay, and so this question does not assume that there is only one kind of customer. It assumes that there's probably going to be a couple of different groups. So 50% of our customers might be one group, and then 15% might be another group, and then the rest just kind of a random assortment. That's the sort of thing you want to assume, is that there may be multiple. So who are the main groups who make up our customers? That's your research question. And next, in the final column, you want to identify methods for how to find the answer to your research question. And so this might be doing an observation and just counting the number of people who look like a certain group. It's not a very reliable method. You could interview the employees. You could try to do a survey. You might even try to do secondary research, but I don't think that's going to be helpful. So you can list a whole bunch of methods and then highlight the ones that you definitely want to try. Okay, so I would definitely want to interview an employee who works there often, if not the owner. And I might even do an observation to see if that checks out. So once you decide on your methods, then you're ready to go research and you go do it. And so based off of whatever information you receive back, that is the answer to your question. And the answer to the question is your premise, okay? Or is the argument or the information that you include in your report. Notice that nowhere in this worksheet are you asked, what's your opinion? Because in an objective document like a SWOT report, our opinion doesn't matter. We should not be trying to force our ideas of what we think the customer demographics are onto the data. We should take our data and then use that to form our statements in our SWOT report. Okay, that is what will make it objective. So if we do this for strengths, for example, well, what do I put down for my topics? I don't know. So if you go back to your Moodle, okay, in an earlier video, I drew attention to this Word document right here, SWOT potential topics. So you can use this for this exercise as well. So go ahead and click that, and this is the page that will open up. And it's just a bunch of topics that fits inside each section, okay? And so in an earlier video, I asked you to just mark any out that obviously weren't going to be relevant. And so some of these topics, for example, may be the same for strengths and weaknesses. So for example, marketing and then their products or prices might be a strength or a weakness, depending on what the evidence tells us, okay? So let's say these are my 3 topics that I want to research. I'm going to move these over here, and I'm going to paste them into my topics column for both strengths and weaknesses, because I don't know yet if they're a strength or a weakness, or I don't know like what part of the topic is a strength or a weakness. So for example, in marketing, brand awareness might be a strength, but their website might be a weakness. So some of these topics might be split into specific topics. So for example, the quality, price, value, or what the products are themselves might be a strength or a weakness in and of themselves, or there might be some products are strengths and some products are weaknesses. And you just don't know the answer to that until you do the research. Okay, so once you have your topics in there, now you're ready to break them down into questions. And again, very simple, direct questions. What products do our customers love? Fine. Weaknesses, what products do our customers hate? Okay, another question for marketing might be, what parts of our marketing are bringing in customers? Okay. And then the weakness version might be, what parts of our marketing are discouraging our customers, okay? And so then once you have your questions filled out, then you're ready to come up with methods for how to research that. So how might I research this? I might do a survey on Facebook. I might, again, incorporate this into my interview with the employees. I might do intercept interviews. So intercept interviews are where you just stop people on the street or on the sidewalk and ask them a quick 1 or 2 questions. You could maybe find some secondary research on this, on say what people in this demographic care about for food. But for this one, I'll probably want to start with primary research, okay? In general, it's great if you can get both primary and secondary research echoing the same facts, because then we know it's more reliable. Okay, so once you have this planned out, then you're ready to research. So you want to fill out the whole thing. Have at least 3 to 4 topics that you want to research for each section, because chances are some of those are not going to pan out. And so you want to have 2 to 4 topics in your SWOT report per section. And so if your goal is 2 to 4 topics, you may need to research more than that to make sure you get really good, strong arguments. Okay, so once you have this filled out, then you have all of the raw information you need to write your plan. Okay, so basically what you then do is for each paragraph, put into a premise what the topics are that you're going to address. So your first body paragraph should be about strengths. So my premise would simply look like, for the strengths section, I'm going to research, and then just list the topics from the second column. Okay, and then the rest of the paragraph will take us through the rest of the worksheet. You then tell me, based off of these topics, what are your research questions? And then after the research questions, tell me the methods you plan on using to find the answer to those questions. And that's it. That's your paragraph. You're basically done. So once you have the worksheet filled out, it becomes child's play to actually write this into a paragraph form. Okay, so once you're done with that paragraph, so give me the topics, tell me the research questions, then conclude by saying how you will research to find the answers. And that is all of your paragraph. Then you do it for weaknesses, and then you do it for opportunities, and then you do it for threats. And then once you're done with that, finish up your your closing paragraph, and you're done with the plan memo. Okay, you're done. So I hope this video is helpful. If you want to try out this draft, or you need help plotting out your research plans, please, by all means, bring those questions to our virtual classrooms or email me. I'm happy to also look at a draft of this and give you feedback. My next video is going to focus on creating the schedule of deliverables attached to this memo, so that your videos are a little shorter than normal. Good luck, and I hope this was helpful.